When I started this world, I really wanted to begin a project that I've never quite seen anyone ever do before. So in episode 2, we spent 100 in-game days transforming a woodland mansion for pillagers into a plain-style villager mansion, which we can later use as a trading hall. But what if we took it a bit farther? You see, other woodland mansions I've seen generate normally have a fairly busy third floor with a lot of rooms. We, on the other hand, got fairly lucky with the top of our mansion essentially being empty. So why not take this villager mansion and put an actual village on top of it? So in order to do the things that we want to do today, we have some other things that we have to do before we can, do the things. One of the biggest ones, of course, is not this bee, but needing a nether portal, because I want to do some happy gas shenanigans in this episode, and if we're going to be building a village on top of a villager mansion, we need a way to get the villagers, to the village on top of the villager mansion. So what I was thinking is actually taking this little cove that we have over here and essentially turning the entire entrance into a gigantic nether portal, basically filling in all of this negative space with the purple color of the portal itself. So we are going to have to do a little bit of terraforming out front. I'll probably end up making a path on over this way to get towards the portal. And then after we do some nether adventures, I want to build a dedicated happy gas docking station for this town. And I think having it right on the outskirts right here would be the best bet. And that's why we set up this little location in the last episode. I also got a suggestion from one of you guys to build a happy gas docking station on the mansion itself, so we'll definitely get that covered. Another suggestion I got from one of you is to change the carpet color inside of the mansion from white and red to white and yellow, because that's what the actual villagers choose for their villages. So I'm gonna go ahead and dye some of these guys. I'm gonna have to go out and grab some more later, but I think passively over the course of this episode, I'll keep making sure to visit this sheep pen and breed these guys up and get them the correct color so that whenever we do go over and start that project, I can go ahead and implement this change. Anyways, I think it's time to get to work, and one of the biggest things is, of course, we're going to need a lot of obsidian to be able to make our portal to begin with. So I'm gonna go cave splunking, looking around, seeing if I can't find some big lava lakes, and get a bunch of obsidian for our portal. On my way to find a cave, I went ahead and gathered up some yellow dye for our sheep farm later, and while doing so, I noticed that a bunch of the villagers from our first village on this world are actually still alive. I found that pretty surprising considering I live not too far away and probably have the chunks loaded most of the time, so I went ahead and boxed up a bunch of them to keep them safe for our mansion project later. I ended up finding a cave that was connected to the village, and thankfully it led me down pretty deep. I was able to get a good amount of diamonds since we've been running low, and also spent time gathering around 2 stacks of obsidian. It was definitely more than I needed for the portal, but having extra can't hurt for later. Now, last episode, I told you guys that I would finish our town's mineshaft by finally laying down the minecart tracks to make the thing usable. So using a bunch of the gold and iron that I got while mining for obsidian, I went ahead and finished that up, and it's definitely one of the best things I've done yet. This cave actually connects our town to that village I was at earlier, and not needing to run across the thing on foot anymore is so nice. Anyways, now I think it's time that we start on our nether portal. I'm going to be building this into the cove like I talked about at the beginning of the video. The only unfortunate part about this is that there is a zombie spawner back there from episode 1. Though, it is just a zombie spawner. If you guys have an idea for what we can do with that, let me know. I'm not exactly too upset about it, but it's a rare type of block, and I kind of would like to preserve it in a build somehow. But with the nether portal going here, I don't really know how that's going to work. But I'm going to go ahead and get started on this, and once we get the portal set up, we'll go ahead and move on to the next part of the video. All right, so far so good. Let's make sure that it actually works. And there we go. Oh man, this thing looks sick. Let me go ahead and back up and go into free cam really quick. Oh yeah, it's not anything necessarily super special, but I think it's a really cool way to implement this cove into our overarching build here. And overall, I think it looks really nice. I might do some tweaks later, maybe, you know, tweak a little bit of the dripstone. After we go to the nether, maybe put some fiery netherrack out here and some netherrack kind of spreading from the cave. But overall, I think this looks super pretty and it really looks nice at nighttime. I'm actually glad that's whenever we finished it up. And we got our first piglin. I don't exactly want to go inside just yet because the main objective of going in there to begin with is of course getting a 𝗍𝗵𝗂𝗏 because we have a lot of villagers to move around and a lot of work going on later. And before we get the 𝗍𝗵𝗂𝗏, I want to make sure that we have a place to put them. And so over here, I want to go ahead and build a giant, well, it's not really going to be giant, but it's going to be a 𝗍𝗵𝗂𝗏 centric building right here that we'll use for docking them, as well as doing some special stuff that you guys will see in just a little bit. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to work on this road off camera, and then we're just going to go ahead and jump straight into making that building over there. And I'm just kidding. Enjoy some high octane road building footage. I won't keep it off camera from you guys. Seriously though, I finally got around to working on our 𝗍𝗵𝗂𝗏 docking house, with the first floor being dedicated to potion brewing moving forward, and the second floor of course being dedicated to where takeoff may commence. I also found this design for the 𝗍𝗵𝗂𝗏 dock somewhere on YouTube, and in all my testing it seems to work extremely well, and it doesn't look half bad either. Also, while making this house, I got a visit from the Wandering Trader, so I went ahead and bought some mini blocks off of him, which come from the Vanilla Tweaks data pack, and we can use these in the future for some of our builds. Things are starting to look pretty snazzy around here. So, with our nether portal cove complete, and with our brand new 𝗍𝗵𝗂𝗏 centric house complete, we can finally get on to some pretty important stuff today. Of course, you know, gotta give you a little tour of the 𝗍𝗵𝗂𝗏 house. I think it looks pretty nice, looks really cool. I really wasn't anticipating doing an interior, but I kind of just started and just kind of kept going until I was done. You know, we have a little brewing station right here for some reasons that we'll go over later. Very excited about that. And then of course, you know, that's the main point of the downstairs. And then of course the upstairs, this is where we are going to have takeoff whenever we park our 𝗍𝗵𝗂𝗏s in this little station right here, kind of bring them in, position them just under this little trap door and close the gate. And so they'll actually sit right here, and then we can just fly them on out and then go on over to the villager mansion or wherever we would like to. We should be good to go for our first little nether adventure. Hopefully things aren't going to take a horrible turn. Hopefully we get some pretty good loot. 𝗍𝗵𝗂𝗏 in particular is kind of just what we need, but you never know what we'll come across. So let's go ahead and hop in. This nether spawn was incredibly special. Not only did we spawn in the open, but we also got an immediate line of sight on a nether fortress right off in the distance. Unfortunately, I didn't see any soul sand valleys nearby to hunt for dried gas in, so I began digging through the wall near our portal before I came across yet another fortress, which I went ahead and grabbed some nether wart from. Then onward from that, I finally came across the soul sand valley we needed. I spent a little bit of time gathering as many of these guys as I could, and I even separated one of them in my bundle to display in a future museum, but a little bit later something silly happened. You know what? I'm actually a huge dummy. I initially wasn't going to explore a fortress, but then I kind of realized that I wanted to do some potion brewing today. I'm kind of a dummy now that I've given it thought. I really did need these, and we kind of lucked out because there's one. Oh no! Yeah, so as I was saying, we lucked out. Yeah, we lucked out. After this though, I did farm a couple of blazes for our brewing stations, while also getting some wither skeleton skulls to drop, which I found surprising, and then I decided to head home before I died again. I sorted some of our new items in our chest back home, plopped our new friends in the nearby pond, and then played the waiting game. Just for reference, by the way, I literally went to the kitchen, cooked steaks, and came back and ate them. And I'm still waiting on these guys. You know, we're waiting. Oh, I cannot believe that. Complain and ye shall receive. This is a odd lead texture. What is that? The shaders? What's going on here? What? Okay, apparently my shaders are bugging and we got the TV static lead, but that's okay. I'm gonna go ahead and bring you on over and you are gonna be tethered there, even though your lead looks so weird. You can just chill here, and then now we just gotta wait on your brother, which for some reason is a late bloomer. He's not even smiling yet. He grew up. Yes. Yes. Come here, buddy. Bang. Wait. Bang. We'll just keep you by the pond, seeing as you were the last one to grow up. So yeah, there we go. All right, so we got the first one right there, second one right there, third one right there. I'm gonna need some naming suggestions, by the way. I don't really know what I'm gonna call these guys, but I'm pretty sure we can craft name tags now, so being able to name these guys shouldn't be an issue. I'm gonna wait on this little dude to grow up, and then we got some business to attend to. And business is indeed what we attended to. After our babies grew up, I finally got to brewing some potions because, surprise, surprise, I'm using a mod known as Happy Gas Boost, which allows our gas to be affected by potions of swiftness, something that honestly should have been in vanilla to begin with. It'll make moving around our world so much better, while also not feeling cheesy since I have to actually make these potions to begin with. I took flight with our new speedy boy right on over to the villager mansion, so I could go ahead and build ourselves a happy gas dock for when we soon begin our main project of the video. After that, I got a jump start on some of the materials that we'd be needing to actually build this village. So I did my usual clay farming for bricks and terracotta, did lots and lots of deforestation, which is becoming a big mainstay in the series, and I also went inside an old cave that we found forever ago to gather string for leads from an abandoned mine shaft. Once this was all done, I had to get creative in order to move all these materials since I don't own any shulker boxes, and that's when I had an amazing idea. So after spending some time getting resources, this is basically all the stuff that I want in these chests, and some excess here and there. I'm gonna basically have to organize all of this, and what I'm going to organize them all into is chest boats. Yeah, we're using chest boats today because I haven't been to the end. I don't have shulker boxes, but what I do have is some flying demonic monsters. Or maybe they're not demonic. I don't know. I don't know ghast lore, but they look like happy, so I guess they're not demonic. Anyways, yeah, so we're gonna be using chest boats, and we're gonna be attaching these to the gas, and we're just gonna be filling these up with all of the items that we are going to need for the build. Now, I don't know exactly how many items I'm gonna need, so I'm just gonna guess. Chances are I'm probably gonna have to be back and forth between here and the mansion village project that we're doing, but at least for the time being, I'm gonna fill all of these up with what I think I'll need, and yeah, we'll go from there. So I'm gonna start filling these up, and we're gonna take our little gas friend, and we're gonna fly over these supplies. Truthfully, the best idea somebody could have ever given me was to make these happy gas stations, because, dude, it is just so much easier to navigate this world with the happy gas, even though it's going pretty slow right now. But again, you know, I want to protect the cargo. Let's go ahead and, okay, let's bring it over here, actually, even though this is where we're going to be building the village. Yeah, okay. So that broke all the leads. I didn't want to put them down there, but you know, it is what it is. The good news is that I can actually just, you know, hop down here and I can move them myself. I guess I can just put them in here, wiggle them in here. Come on, at least some of them. Oh, dude, they flung at me like bullets. Okay, first thing I want to work on right now, and I brought a bunch of shears to do it. I have no clue if this is gonna be enough, but I wanna go ahead and do the viewer suggestion of turning all of the carpet inside of the mansion to yellow carpet, obviously aside from this white outline here. So I'm gonna go ahead and get to work on that. Plus it's nighttime, so this is actually perfect. Okay, so I'm just now finding out, because my shears broke, that these break at the same speed as my fists. Can you put efficiency on these things? Because there's no reason to use them. My fists work just fine. I wish I had known that before I wasted some of my iron. Well, your boy drastically underestimated how much wool I would need for these carpets. Yeah, this will probably be the last thing I finish. I want to go ahead and start working on the project at large, starting with the roof of that little area of the mansion first, though. So yeah, let's get to work. We have a lot of things to do. I of course started by slabbing out the roof of the only third floor room we have, since I don't intend on building anything up there, and then I got to work on laying the foundation of our village. I raised up the outer edges of the brick stairs by 1 so I could add a layer of grass inside of it, and then I built a small village wall around the edges so the villagers that we move here don't accidentally jump off the roof or get lost once we have them here. Alright, so after some work, we have an area to work with. The only thing I'm actually really sad about is the fact that these biomes overlap. So if I pull up F3, you'll actually see we're in a dark oak forest, but whenever we go over here, we're in a river, which that kind of sucks because it means that the grass isn't going to be all the same color, but I can live with it. I mean, not everything has to be perfect. It's just kind of a circumstance of what we were given. Before we work on the village, I was messing around in a creative world because I'm not sure if any of you guys have noticed this, but the door is off center. And of course, this wasn't something that I was responsible for. Like it wasn't because it was my fault. It was just, this is how the mansion generates. So you'll see that we have these 2 oak pluses on this side, and we have 3 oak pluses on that side. And the reason that this is going to stay off center is because, well, this door is lined up with the actual staircase here. And if I tried to move the door, it would just kind of go into a really awkward spot in the middle of the hallway. It would just kind of look a little weird. The main part of the mansion that I want people to look at anyways is this right here, because this of course has the most going on. You're able to see this little top portion of the mansion, which you can't really see as well from over there. We have this happy gas station right here, which gives it a little bit of character. And of course, you're able to get a good side profile of the soon to be village. So what I was thinking, and whenever I was messing around in creative, what if I added the front entrance to this side of the mansion? Now, this is going to require quite a bit of work. We're going to have to get rid of a lot of trees, and we're going to have to push all of this terrain upwards. And it's a job that I'm not looking forward to, but it is a job that I'm going to have to do because I feel like it's going to look better in the long run. And of course, we can completely redo this bottom part of the mansion to give it a proper entrance and stuff like that, which we're going to do in today's episode, but one thing at a time. And the current #1 thing I got to do is I got to get to work on this terrain. So wish your boy luck. I guess it's another time-lapse time. After looking over the footage, I gotta say, this place looks drastically different. I mean, having this terrain down below with a bunch of trees and garbage everywhere to now just a flat plain leading up to the mansion is pretty different, and I like it. I do want to add some villager-related statues to the front of the mansion, and I kind of want to have like some supporting builds to kind of, I don't know, bolster the vibe a little bit. So I'm gonna build some statues really quick. And bam, there we go. Just full disclosure, by the way, I did not create these designs. These have been sitting around on a creative world of mine for literal years now, but I figured it would be perfect. But now I want to go ahead and get started on this little entrance bit, which I think I'm just going to time lapse because it's just going to kind of be boring. So I don't know. I think I'll just do it instantly. Actually, I'll just do it right now. And just like that, we now have ourselves a brand new entrance. And in my opinion, this is just so much better, but I went ahead and did a couple other things as well. So of course, this is the brand new entrance. We'll come through here, and then we have these bigger archways here to kind of indicate that this is an entrance. And so this is anytime, if we don't have an elytra, we don't have a happy gas or anything like that, we have this little cubby right here, which is going to lead to a brand new ladder, which we can then climb to get to the top. And once we're at the top, you can see this is where we have our village. So this is going to be a little bit easier access to get to the village. So that of course means that the last thing we need to do in today's video is to of course get to work on the village. And like I've said before, this is a pretty sizable area, so it may take a while. I probably don't even have all the resources that I need. Now, to make my life easier, I went ahead and went into a super flat world and traveled across a bunch of of different villages. We're going to be taking actual authentic villager houses and replicating these on top of the mansion. And so I'm probably going to repeat a couple of these because our area is fairly big. So I'll probably repeat some of these basic houses whenever we need to fill in space. But I have a lot of unique designs that I want to create. So you kind of see where all of the cobblestone and all of the, I ended up getting some terracotta, all the oak wood. It's kind of just going to be for all of this. So we have quite a lot of buildings to make, but I do have the blueprints for them, so it will make it much easier. So let's go ahead and get started. After quite a lot of work, the sun rises on day 175, and we have ourselves a brand new village on top of our villager mansion. And I absolutely love how this thing turned out. Of course, we went with the classical path right here. I just went with an uninterrupted one instead of a bunch of, broken up pieces between grass and stuff. Just kind of make it look a little uniform and neat. We went with the classic little lamps here. We have the trading stalls. We have everything that I showed you guys earlier. And I went ahead and bone mealed around the area to kind of make it look a little bit more lived in and less flat. But speaking of making it look more lived in, we finally need to go back to the village that we visited in the beginning of the episode to actually get the villagers that we trapped there so that we can bring them here. And luckily for me, as we do hang out in this area, villagers are going to naturally multiply because I have a ton of beds in every single one of these houses. Some of them have 2, some of them have 1, but I believe it's around 16 to 18 total beds in this village. I'll go ahead and give you guys a little bit of a flyover here. So some of these will have 2 beds each, but I think it's going to be really nice. I don't think we're really going to use this village as much as a trading hub as it is just something to look cool and just look at. Mainly, I think most of the villager trading that we do is going to be on the inside of the mansion, and this is just something to kind of fill in the space because, I mean, in my opinion, the mansion looked pretty ugly before. I mean, just having a big flat roof right here with nothing on it, it just kind of looked rough. It felt like we got a little unlucky with the actual shape of the mansion, with this being the only 3rd floor area. But really, it was a blessing in disguise. I'm not exactly sure where I got the idea to do this. I might be one of the first people to have done this, but it just kind of popped into my head one night while I was building in creative for the sake of this series, and I was like, what if I just turned that into an episode? But anyways, a little bit of a ramble aside, we do need to go and get those villagers. So I'm going to use the leftover stock that we have, from these chest boats that we brought over, and I'm going to make some brand new boats so that we can carry our villagers in. I'm just going to make a ton just in case, and so we'll go ahead and throw that in there. I need to see if I have any leads. Do I have leads? Yes, I have 25 leads. That's good. And I also have a bunch of these splash potions as well, for the sake of, making our happy gas go a little bit faster. So I got these yellow carpets as well because I got to do the interior of the mansion still. There's a lot of red carpet left over, but I will get to that. But first, of course, we need to get the important part out of the way, and we need to go gather up some villagers. So let's go do that. Okay, so we're finally here. I think what I'm going to do, yeah, so the villagers are on the floor now. We will grab the 𝗍𝗵𝗥𝗍 and we will tether him here. And then, should I just, yeah, that works. Bang. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. We have our first generation of villagers in the villager mansion. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have an uneven amount. It would have been 8 had I not accidentally murdered one. But we officially have ourselves a village. These guys can go into their houses. They can check out their beds. They can get jobs, just not right now because these are the only 2 job blocks in the entire area. But I am so happy. And I would really like to thank you all for watching today's episode, and to please feel free to let loose some more suggestions in the comments below, because this episode was very viewer centric in the sense of, you know, using some of your guys' suggestions on the villager mansion. And obviously a lot of you guys wanted me to go to the nether today and interact with 𝗍𝗵𝗥𝗍 and all the like. So any more suggestions that you guys have, let me know. I think in between this episode and the next, I'll go ahead and bring some animals to throw up here as well. So the place looks even more lived in than with the villagers already here. And I'm also going to finally exchange all the carpet on the inside of the mansion. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for watching yet another episode of the Forever World. I really do appreciate it. Let me know what you guys would like to see in the next episode, and I'll see you all next time.